Today I would like to tell you about the story of my life, a life of being a loner, something a lot of us can relate to. The story of being someone distinct from what others thought I was. Always downplayed what I really had in my mind, never truly expressed myself fully. If you think this video is meant to be a brag, then I can assure you it is not. Because you will see that I feel vulnerable and miserable more than being prideful. But worry not, this is a story with a good ending. Let's begin. I think looking back, the earliest sign that I was going to be a loner was from primary school. And I think a lot of us here also have signs this early on in our lives. So it was the last day of primary school, everyone was crying, I couldn't look around, and all of my friends would have tears running down their face. I heard snorting coming from all angles and directions, but for me, I did not cry one bit. Even though there was a deep sadness within me, I could physically felt my heart sink. That's because there was a question that I had in my mind. What should I do with my life regarding the unapologetic and unstoppable nature of time? How should I live my life dealing with this? I did not really know how to deal with that at the time, and I really don't know why, but I decided to keep the question away from my parents. I didn't really consult or ask them. Maybe it was because I thought I don't want others to think of me as weird. And keep in mind, I felt self-conscious a lot growing up, being compared to other kids. And another foretelling moment was in my entire secondary school period. I could always sense whether something is real or not, something is genuine or not. And one thing I knew that was not real was everyone's desire to live life to be better than everyone else. I could sense that it is a shallow thing to live for. I could actually tell looking at people's face. It is a load of bullcrap. And there was always something present in the back of my mind, and it is called purpose. And yet, I went on with the right way to live life. I pretended to be like a model student. Went to school, worked as hard as possible to get good grades, gain validation from everyone at school. But one day, with a little bit of nudge by Kobe being Bryant, so it happens. Through the cold of the world, I kept a fire the world did not give me. I realized that there is no right way to live life. There is only a true way to live it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the start of my journey of being a loner. I'm sure that for everyone that is watching this right now, you can also identify a bunch of moments where it is pretty obvious that you're not going to be just like everybody else. And it's funny because we sometimes just stop and think, how the hell did we get here? But if we really look hard enough, it becomes, well, the signs are pretty damn obvious. I guess in your case, if it's not existential wandering like mine, I have friends who were taught to rebel. I know people who find meaning in passion and not living life. If it is not those things, maybe it is traumas or betrayals. We all have that one thing that convinced us to live life differently. And with it brings all the misery. But worry not, I did say that this is going to be a good ending story. Well, fast forward until now, my personal philosophy is pretty much refined. The vision that I have for my life is a lot more clearer and straightforward. A very unique way to live life. Described by me, although some would say stiff or strict. And I think a lot of people think that knowing what life is about is a good thing. That must be a good thing, right? You're so sure of yourself. But that is ultimately what leads us to have an extremely alienated value system in comparison with ordinary person. In my case, I have an absolute rule that I must follow, and that is, I would rather die than live a meaningless life. So casually hanging out and having small talks become almost impossible for me without a loud sign. And in life, those who were dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music. It is not really any form of despise that we have for others that make us a loner. It is because we see things differently than others that brought us here. And gradually, the music starts getting louder and louder. And more importantly, the music starts getting better. Remember when Kobe inspired me? Well, my passion got louder than my desire to live an ordinary life. And one day, I got questions from my parents about why I was training for 12 hours per day. Why would I do something like that as a student? I was supposed to study. And I told them, I do it because basketball is my life. This is what I want to live for. And they just replied with, but it is just a sport. It is something you play, not live. But they don't really understand how we want to live our lives. We don't see it the way they see it. We don't see it the way ordinary people see it. They don't really understand that there is a concept that exists inside of our mind called life purpose. And if I lose it, I will lose my will to be alive. They don't get that existentialism to me is not just a brain teaser regarding life. It is a necessity of life. I mean, until a few months ago, I told my cousin about philosophy and how I want to live life, and he practically smiled at me and he didn't really take it seriously at all. Also, I think that a lot of us think that we're consciously hating others, but I think that we just lost those shared meanings with others, and that naturally makes us alienate ourselves. And actually, no, it is not sunshine and rainbows all the time for us. It is actually pretty sad. There is a deep sadness inside of us. And we have a lot of struggles as well. Like, a lot of us think that we are unable to talk to others. But for me, personally, that is just not true. We just find it intolerable because we have hyper awareness. We have this thing. I don't really know if anyone out there feels the same thing, but every time I meet another human being, I meet someone, I don't see them as a human being. I see the differences between their value system and mine. Another misery that we have is this. From the outside looking in, they might think that we have more figured out than them, more figured out about life. They may even look at us like, you think you're better than us or something. While it is true that we see things that they do not, we don't really believe that we know better than them. We don't really want to be superior. We just want to be true. It is exactly as Carl Jung said. Loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you. The things that seem important to you is trivial to us, and the thing that seem important to us is trivial to you. And believe it or not, maybe it is just me though, but if there is a way for us to be as true to ourselves as possible while being with someone else without being a loner, we would jump to that option. Because what do you think is our biggest secret, but also at the same time our biggest craving is? Despite our withdrawal, there is a hidden craving for someone to truly see us without judgment. And oftentimes, we either hide it so well or we can't find anyone who meets our standard of authenticity that need has just become unmet. Our deepest despair is that we always downplay ourselves, never truly show our true thoughts, never reveal our true person to anyone. But I still remember this. I still remember the exact moment I opened up to my parents about myself and my depth. I sent them the condition report of my beliefs and my mental health. And on the document read, triết học hiện sinh. And they had no ideas what that meant. By the way, it means existentialism. They started asking all of these beginner questions as if they don't really know who I am, as if they don't really know what I want to do with my life. It is like they are meeting me for the first time, and it is as if I'm not even their son. And to be honest, that is partially the truth. I have been going through life not expressing myself truly and fully because I doubted that they would not understand me. They would not be able to get it. And guess what? They did not get it. Once again, I am painfully aware of how much of an unusual and alienated person I am. But this time, there was another thing that I felt: relief. But why? Why do I feel that? I opened up and they have finally realized that I am this alienated person. Why was I relieved that they finally know that? Because I was holding myself back. I was not living to the fullest. I always downplayed myself. I always downplayed what I thought. I've always spoken only 1/4 of what I was thinking. And now I have stepped into the arena. They are aware of this person that I am. And it was there, in the depth of the winter, I finally learned that within me lay an invincible summer. I used to think that me being so alienated is a curse. But whether it is a gift or a curse is up to you to decide. If you take it and live it authentically, then you're the most honest person on earth. But if you always focus on the difference between you and others, you always think that they would not be able to get me, then you are indeed cursed. So I think the solution for being alone is not to be ashamed of yourself as if life is a costume party and you attended it with your real face. But make it so that when you walk into the room as yourself, so utterly, so dangerously, so unmistakably yourself, that the other masks become itchy. Because when you live life like that, you no longer measure yourself by how many hands reach out for you, but by how steady your own hands become. You stop wondering if you belong and you start realizing that you already do, in your own skin, in your own mind, and in your own days. And in that quiet certainty, you find something far rarer than approval. You find the unshakable privilege of walking this earth entirely on your own terms. Let your choices be carved in the grain of your nature, not painted to match the room. Let every step, every word, every pause remind you, you are not here to blend into the scenery. You are here to be the scenery no one else can replace. And that, my friend, is how you should live your life as a loner. I'll see you in the next videos about existential life reprogramming. See you there.